Three special forces, led by a major named Davis, are on their way to the presidential building. They were given a mission to evacuate the president immediately following a bomb threat from a terrorist group. As soon as they arrived, Davis escorted the president away. On their way, the president complained and said that he should have been picked up in a nicer car. To his complaint, Davis replied that all this was deliberately done to trick the terrorists so that they would not know that the president was in this car. A bit later, the president's cell phone rang, and just as he answered the call, an explosion occurred. They were then attacked by a group of terrorists. Davis immediately guards the president to safety while two of his men try to fight off the attack. During the shootout, the terrorist leader, who had attached a bomb to his vest, managed to take one of Davis's crew members hostage. The terrorist asked for an exchange between his subordinate and the president, but Davis's subordinate detonated the bomb attached to the terrorist leader's vest, killing both of them. 3 months later, Davis is heading out to pick up his son, who is studying out of town. A little while later, his wife walks up to him to make sure he has everything he needs. Before he left, his wife asked him to give her a call, which he promised to do, but he would call her from his son's cell phone since his own was broken. The scene switches to a college campus, and here we are introduced to Davis's son, Sean. All students on this campus are required to live in the campus dormitory and can only leave for their homes during semester breaks. That afternoon, after the PE lesson, all the students are going back to their respective homes, as the semester break starts tomorrow. Once class is over, Erin, her friend, approaches Sean. While they are having a nice conversation, their teacher stops by and reminds both of them to pack up their things as the campus will be closed this afternoon. Later that afternoon, Sean knocks on Erin's door, and when Erin opens the door, he says that they have to leave soon because everyone has left and it's just the two of them left behind. After hearing the news, Erin then asks if Sean wants to help her pack. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the campus area, one guy wearing black sunglasses was killing all the security guards who were there. 20 minutes later, a group of suspicious people were already outside the campus building. Those people turned out to be kidnappers sent to kidnap Erin, who happened to be the daughter of a Supreme Court justice named Walton. After eliminating all the security guards, the man, whose name is Melvin, then ordered his team to do their respective tasks immediately, while he would pretend to be the new driver sent by Erin's father. Erin and Sean walk downstairs, and when they arrive, Melvin, who claims to be the new driver sent by Erin's father, greets the two of them. Along with that, Davis arrived in front of the campus entrance, and one of the kidnappers' crew disguised as a security guard, stopped him and promptly reported Davis's arrival. When he saw his father's arrival, Sean looked so happy, considering it had been 6 months since they had met. As Erin is about to get into her car, she suddenly remembers that she left her laptop in her room. When Davis sees Erin, he asks Sean who she is, and the latter replies that she is Erin, the daughter of the Supreme Court justice. Davis is a bit surprised because he didn't expect to hear that the daughter of a Supreme Court justice is attending this college. Davis suggests waiting for Erin to come back from her room before they leave since Erin and Sean are the only students who haven't left the campus. It was then that he found something suspicious. His suspicions grew even more when he saw all the campus cleaning staff, who looked strange and unusual. Davis then asks his son to wait for him in the car, and he decides to go upstairs to meet Erin to ask about the driver who picked her up. Once upstairs, he asks Erin to call her father and see if he actually sent the new driver. When the call is connected, Erin's father says that he did not send a new driver to pick her up, and suddenly the phone call is disconnected. After confirming that Erin's father hadn't sent her a new driver, Davis asks Erin to quickly leave the campus with him. But all of a sudden, all the lights in the building went out. Davis moves closer to the window and spots a woman standing guard outside. Finally, he realizes that all the people he had seen were intending to kidnap Erin. He then asks Erin to stay calm and stay as close to him as possible. As they are trying to find a way out of the dormitory building, Erin's cell phone suddenly rings, and when she answers it, it turns out to be a call from Melvin. Melvin realized that Erin and Davis already knew his intention. He then asks Erin to give her cell phone to Davis. He then says that he and his team have already surrounded the area, and they have even hacked all the access and networks on campus, so he suggests that Davis hand over Erin to him immediately, and he will let Davis and his son go. Instead of being afraid of the threat, Davis bravely challenges him and says that he will never hand Erin over to him, no matter what. At the home of the Supreme Court Justice, Erin's father, while he is playing pool, his bodyguard comes in to tell him that the CIA director is coming to see him, and the justice tells his bodyguard to let him in. The CIA director, whose name is Philip, explains the purpose of his visit, asking the judge to give his opinion on the upcoming trial that will be held in the next few days. It was mentioned that an amendment was currently being drafted, and only Judge Walton's opinion could ratify the amendment. The honest judge flatly refuses Philip's request, and upon refusal, Philip says that Erin, his daughter, will definitely have something terrible happen to her if he doesn't get what he wants. Sean gets worried because his father and Erin have not returned yet, so he goes after them. Upstairs, he runs into one of the abductors disguised as a cleaner. Without feeling suspicious, Sean tells him that he is looking for his father and Erin, who are now still inside the campus building. The man tells him a lie, saying that he had seen them both upstairs and that he was willing to take Sean there. However, while in the elevator, he attacks Sean from behind. Fortunately, a few moments later, Davis and Erin arrived. Davis manages to knock the man out. He then takes his HT radio as well as his gun. Afterward, Davis leads Sean and Erin to the campus library. He asks them not to go anywhere before he arrives because he will confront all the kidnappers. Before leaving the two of them, Davis gave them the gun and HT radio that he had taken earlier. Moments later, one of the abductors enters the elevator, and when he sees two cell phones lying on the floor, he picks them up, and at that moment, Davis launches his attack at him. Once he managed to tie the man's hands, Davis took him to an upstairs room to interrogate him. He then calls the police for help, but unfortunately the call is not connected because they have hacked all the networks on the campus. Noticing Davis is off guard, the bald man then attacks him, but eventually Davis manages to turn the tables, leaving the man dead. On the other hand, the leader of the abductors, Melvin, who is revealed to be a CIA agent, finally finds out Davis's identity. He's shocked to learn that Davis is a major in the military's highly respected special forces and that he was a troop leader in the Bosnian, Somali, and Kosovo wars. Even during the war in Somalia, Davis was able to eliminate 5 enemies by himself. He then warns all his men to be more careful, knowing that Davis is not just anyone. Back to the library, where Erin and Sean are hiding. Seeing that Sean's hand is injured, Erin forces Sean to go to the medical room so that Sean's wound can be treated. As soon as she gets there, Erin treats Sean's hand. Meanwhile, outside the medical room, the man who had attacked Sean had regained consciousness and resumed his mission. As he walks towards the medical room, Sean attacks him, and a battle ensues between them. Sean feels overwhelmed by him, but luckily, Erin helps him by injuring his face. That man then strikes Erin back, knocking her to the ground. When he sees that Erin is injured, Sean points his gun at that man. He surrenders at gunpoint, but Sean lets him go. Elsewhere, Davis is still trying to fight against 2 of Melvin's men, and luckily he manages to easily beat them both. Erin and Sean head back to the library, but unfortunately, on the way there, Erin is caught by one of Melvin's men, who disguises himself as a security guard. Sean aims his gun at him, but out of the blue, a long-range shot fired by Davis lands on target and kills the man. Davis then urges them to leave the campus as quickly as possible, but suddenly the PE teacher, whom we saw at the beginning of the movie, comes out of his room. Sean tells him that the campus is under attack and they need to leave immediately. Davis then asks the teacher if there's another way out other than the front door. The teacher tells him that there is an old elevator in the building, and they can go that way. When they all reach the front of the elevator, Melvin's minions kept shooting at them. Davis ends up asking the 3 of them to get into the elevator first while he tries to fight off the attack. However, Sean doesn't want to leave his father, so he decides to join him, while Erin and the teacher stick to their original plan to escape the dormitory building. When Erin and her teacher got outside, how surprised she was to see Melvin and one of his underlings already waiting for her downstairs. As it turned out, the teacher had conspired with Melvin's team. He then demands payment from Melvin after handing Erin over. However, instead of getting paid, he is killed. Melvin then orders his crew to plant a bomb in the elevator, knowing that Davis and Sean are right on top of the elevator. Upstairs, on seeing the bomb in the elevator, Davis rushes to avoid it. Supreme Court Justice Walton, who is extremely worried about his daughter, gets a video from Philip showing Erin's condition. She is currently being held hostage. Being so worried about his daughter's safety, Supreme Court Justice Walton is forced to comply with Philip's wishes. Phillips then asks him to come to a designated place by himself. Davis and Sean manage to survive the bomb blast. Davis then tells Sean to go after Erin while he takes out the sniper on top of the building. The moment Sean saw Erin, who was about to be taken by Melvin, he thoughtlessly chased her on his motorcycle. Davis then catches up with him by jumping right on the car driven by Melvin's men, named Sproul. In the middle of his ride, Sean is shot by Melvin, and then he also takes him into the car. Meanwhile, Davis is still busy fighting Sproul and some of Melvin's other men. In the end, he manages to clean up all of them. He then notices a GPS that displays the position of Supreme Court Justice Walton, who happens to be passing in the same direction. A few moments later, he stops Supreme Court Justice Walton's car while showing a note with a message that he will help him. They both then drive off immediately to save Sean and Erin. When they arrive at the location where Erin and Sean are being held hostage, Judge Walton goes down on his own, and one of Philip's men checks on him. Judge Walton then runs, and at the same time, an explosion occurs. Davis then appears with a gun in his hand, ready to take out all of Philip's men. Davis kills Philip's men one by one without mercy. Elsewhere, Sean attempts to fight back by attacking one of Philip's men. After defeating the man, more of Philip's men arrived, and another fight ensued. Thankfully, Sean manages to turn things around, and he manages to finish off all of his opponents. Sean then goes after Erin, who at that moment is about to be taken aboard a ship. Erin is being held at gunpoint by one of Philip's men, and luckily Sean is able to save her. A while later, Supreme Court Justice Walton comes, and he takes them to a safer place immediately. Meanwhile, in another place, Davis is still fighting against Melvin, and unintentionally, the weapon Davis used hits a gas pipe, making it leak. Davis realized that the gas would cause an explosion, so he left the place as fast as he could. The gas explodes in the end, and Melvin is still there. Following that, Davis rushes over to Sean and Erin, who are both now safe. The next day, Philip is surprised by Melvin's unexpected visit to his house. Apparently, Melvin still managed to survive the explosion last night. Melvin then tells him that he's going to ask Phillips for payment, as he promised. However, Philip claims that their plan has been foiled by Davis, so he doesn't want to pay him even a penny. After hearing such news, Melvin shoots him to death. The scene moves to the hospital, where Davis is accompanying his son, who is being treated for the injuries he sustained in the last incident. He then gives his watch to Sean, explaining that the watch was a gift from President Clinton thanks to his success in carrying out dozens of dangerous missions for the country. He also recites the president's message when he gave him the watch: "When you wear this, I want you to think about the lives you saved, not the ones you took." A few moments later, Erin comes to see Sean, and her visit makes him very happy. Davis then leaves the two of them. At the end of the movie, a man comes with Davis's wife as his hostage. The end.